Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from The Federalist dated February 29th. Taking so long to record this because I was out of town, but I thought I'd want to talk about this, and it's kind of a long one, so strap yourselves in. The article is entitled, Democrats Are Already Planning Their Own Insurrection if Trump Wins. And I'm not sure if you've heard about this. It seemed to kind of float across the news really quickly and then just disappear. But it sounds a little insurrection-y, guys, but let's go ahead and see what the Democrats are going to do. It says a Democrat-controlled Congress might vote to disallow a GOP electoral college victory and hand the election to Biden or a replacement. So it's funny how that comes up, and then they're going to be like, we're not insurrectionists, we're saving democracy, which is always what they try to say, and they don't actually seem to know what democracy means, given the stuff that's going on right now, like, imprisoning political opponents, using lawfare against them, arresting journalists, but hey, what do I know? It says Democrats have spent the last 3 years labeling former President Donald Trump and any other Republican who questioned the 2020 presidential election results as insurrectionists. But as their efforts to either imprison Trump or throw him off the ballot have shown, they are ready to do just about anything to ensure he can't win a second term in 2024. But with President Joe Biden falling in the polls and Trump demonstrating that he could win, they need a backup plan if the courts won't do their bidding. There's an article in The Atlantic, always a bastion of truth and morality, and I say that about as sarcastically as a human being possibly can, says as the article in The Atlantic last week made clear, they have one in mind. The only problem is that it involves Democrats doing exactly what they labeled as insurrection when Republicans half-heartedly played at doing the same thing in January 2021 when some of them voted not to certify the vote of the Electoral College that handed the election to Biden. And if Democrats win control of Congress in November, something that could happen even if Trump also wins the presidency, they could succeed where the GOP failed and overturn the election. So, yep, I guess we're just going to go ahead and do the thing that we said all the other people were doing. The Democrat prosecutors and judges have imprisoned thousands of people for being present at the January 6th Capitol riot, and I'm sure because I said that, now there's going to be one of those wiki notes underneath the YouTube video that you can't get rid of, because, Wikipedia is, again, a great source of true information. It says Democrats also spent years labeling the efforts of Trump supporters to find a legal way to overturn the 2020 results they consider potentially fraudulent as another form of insurrection, or even, in the case of the tainted Georgia prosecutions led by Fani Willis, who's probably not going to be on her case much longer from the time I'm recording this, is a violation of the federal racketeer influencing corrupt organization statute, that's RICO, that aimed at curbing mafia activity. So it says, but anyone who imagines that the charge of hypocrisy, singular, not plural, will stop Democrats from doing anything they can to stop Trump from taking office hasn't been paying attention to American politics for the last 8 years. Having convinced themselves that Trump is an authoritarian threat to American democracy as well as a stooge of Vladimir Putin, which neither of those things are true, and provably not true, says with the Russian collusion hoax now being revived, yes it is, and Jesus H. Christ, what? Anyway, it is inconceivable that even a clear defeat in the November election would prevent them from using every means at their disposal to overturn such a result. So it's funny how they mention Trump's an authoritarian. We have 4 years of a Trump presidency, which nothing even remotely like that happened, but okay. As a stooge of Vladimir Putin, the Russiagate thing was debunked as a hoax started by Hillary Clinton. That's true. You can go look it up if you don't believe me. And of course, we had the whole Robert Mueller thing where he said that he found absolutely zero evidence. And trust me, these are people who were looking for evidence that Trump was linked to Russia. He testified before Congress that he found nothing. Okay. So now they're still trying to say it. And it's like, guys, we know it's a lie. It's been proven that it's a lie. The information is out there, it's a lie, but they're still trying to go and say, no, it's actually the truth. And again, Hillary Clinton's the one that started it. So it says media and lawfare campaign. Since 2021, Democrats and their corporate media cheering section have been consistent in alleging that Republicans were going to attempt to steal the 2024 election. Indeed, the first anniversary of the January 6th Capitol riot, welcome to that wiki note again, says which has now assumed the nature of a Democrat holy day, was the occasion for a series of articles and outlets such as all these reputable organizations here, like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, the Guardian, and New York Magazine, that centered on unhinged scaremongering about alleged plots for a GOP coup. That was the background for the Democrats' January 6th committee dog and pony show, when blame for the riot expanded from the participants to more or less every Republican who voiced doubts about the count in the 2020 election, in which the normal guardrails for voter integrity have been discarded during the COVID panic. But as Trump and the Republicans have learned in the last year, the hyperbole about defending democracy wasn't just disingenuous, it was also a matter of projection. Thank you very much. That is a perfect thing, because that's 100% correct right there. That all the people that are saying that Trump is all these things are essentially instituting things that are all of those things. Okay, they say Trump's an authoritarian, but Biden's the one arresting journalists. He's the one that is going after his main political opponent. Stuff like that. Okay, like, yeah, he's acting in a very authoritarian way. He's also made how many executive orders? I mean, he got rid of the border. Like, he said he didn't want to rule as like a rule. I'm saying that's not a good thing. He didn't want to govern as a dictator, but that's essentially what he's looking at here. So it says Democrats have unleashed a far-ranging lawfare campaign aimed at throwing Trump off the ballot and convicting him on an array of bogus crimes. In New York State, a bizarre lawsuit has used a legitimate real estate transaction as the excuse for a case in which a partisan judge and a legal system seeks to destroy Trump's family business and confiscate his wealth in a manner reminiscent of Banana Republic prescriptions. And keep in mind that in the New York case, that like what it was that Trump paid the bank back. The bank said, yeah, he paid us back. And they still found Trump liable for this thing. And it's like, well, he didn't, there was no party that was damaged by what Trump did. So who exactly does his fine go to? There's nobody to pay. And everybody that was involved was like, A, this is a perfectly normal thing that everybody does. And B, he paid everything back. So where's the problem? Okay. Now, if Democrats don't blush at the use of such naked authoritarian tactics, New York Governor Kathy Hochul even said the quiet part out loud when she assured other business owners that they needn't fear being victims of a similarly arbitrary prosecution because it could only be applied to Trump. What would prevent them from trying to overturn an election if they lost the former president? And why would you want to do business in New York anymore? I mean, she's basically saying we only did this thing to that one guy. It's like, well, what if the state gets a hate boner for you? They're going to do the same thing to you. Why would you trust them? Say, I tell any business right now, get the hell out of New York. Treat New York like you would San Francisco at this point. Just get the hell out. So it says they have good reason to fear a Trump victory. With Biden's favorability ratings at a historical low for an incumbent seeking re-election and Trump leading him in the Real Clear Politics average of surveys of head-to-head matchups and in polls with third-party candidates included, the president is in big trouble, and we can only hope Trump wins. So it says how to stop Trump. That's the backdrop for a revealing piece in The Atlantic about how Democrats can stop another Trump presidency even if the voters choose him. The excuse for doing so will be to assert the argument being made by Colorado when it tried to throw Trump off the ballot in that state, that his alleged status as an insurrectionist makes him ineligible to be president. Okay, so even though he was never even charged with this, much less had a trial and convicted of being it, in that case I wouldn't like what they were doing, but I can understand where they're coming from. How do you, like, you're still saying, like, there's mountains of evidence out there that you can go look at right now. Like, I shouldn't even say, like, conclusive proof that he was saying, protest peacefully, everybody go home. He didn't say anything about storm the Capitol or anything like that. Okay, we know this. This is a fact. It says, according to staff writer Russell Berman, the key to overturning a Trump victory at the ballot box is for the Democrats to win back control of Congress, the odds for which, even in the event of a Trump presidential win, must be assessed as at least even. If they do, then the stage is set for a January 6th rerun, this time with Democrats voting not to certify the Electoral College results. And to use Tim Pool's favorite phrase, civil war, well, this might be how you actually get it. Okay. If the people have said they want this person in charge, there's a group of people in the country going, no, we're not going to do that because of things that are just nebulous at best, then yeah, that's a severe problem. So it says 1988 was the last time Democrats accepted a presidential election loss without attempting to overturn the results, and that is true. You can go back and look and see them doing it all. And Jamie Raskin, who is just a snake of a human being, he's like at the forefront out there being like, insurrection. Yeah, he's one of the people that keeps challenging everything. So he's kind of a hypocrite, and I know he doesn't care, but yeah, whatever. So since then, every Republican victory, including George W. Bush's decisive 2004 win, has been questioned by both Democrat politicians and conspiracy theorists on the left. Indeed, oh, here we go. It's going to mention Jamie Raskin. There's indeed Democratic Rep. Jamie Raskin, who voted not to certify Trump's win in 2016, and then treated Republicans who did the same 4 years later as traitors, said he might be willing to consider decertifying a Trump win in 2024 if that's what will happen. It's true that some of the most notoriously partisan Democrats, such as Reps. Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell, told Berman that would be a bridge too far for them. But even discounting their unwillingness to show their hand this far in advance, it's important to take into account factors that Berman didn't even bother mentioning. So the Trump victory would almost certainly set off bloody riots in every American city in the manner of the mostly peaceful Black Lives Matter riots of the summer of 2020. If anything, the next round of left-wing violence might be even worse, and I have a feeling that's probably going to be what happens, and so be careful out there, folks. But no matter how much America burns following a Trump win on November 5th, 2024, you can count on Washington to be swarming with angry leftists and liberals next January in a manner to put the Stop the Steal rally MAGA demonstrators of 2021 to shame. As the pressure on Democratic politicians to stop the Electoral College results from being certified would be far greater than the desultory protests that Trump supporters put together to head off a Biden presidency. The entire left-wing intersectional activist wing of the party will know that another Trump presidency could begin the process of rolling back the tide of woke control of the government and American society, and that's a good thing. Does that factor alone, along with a visceral hatred for Trump and his working-class fans, will generate the kind of mass demonstrations that will be impossible for Democrat members of Congress to ignore. So here we go with constitutional crisis. So let's see what would happen. So should they vote not to certify the election that Trump had won, that would create a murky constitutional debate about what follows, but the effect would be the same as an electoral college tie addressing the 12th Amendment, and would likely mean the election would be thrown to the House of Representatives for a decision. There, each state delegation would have one vote to decide the presidency, something that has only happened after the 1800 and 1824 elections. So it's been a while. So it's been 200 years since the last time that happened. The House would be limited in their choices to those who won Electoral College votes, but at that point, the result might be political chaos, since Electoral College members would have been free to vote as they liked. So there was also the possibility that the House wouldn't be able to resolve the impasse before January 21st, when a president must be sworn in. In that case, the Senate would elect a vice president who would serve as president. There again, a Democratic majority could elect Biden or his running mate. But the wording of the 12th Amendment, which says that no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States, raises the possibility of them choosing someone who had not been on the ballot, such as fantasy league options like Michelle Obama. Oh, we're throwing Big Mike into this, all right. It's like virtually everything that would happen once the existing system failed to produce a result. It would also mean subsequent court challenges to resolve the meaning of the text, which, like the Democrats' attempt to use the 14th Amendment to stop Trump, is something the courts have never fully adjudicated. I mean, it's been 200 years since this last happened or something like that, so it's not like this is a common thing that they would really be looking at, but again, I guess the situation needs to happen for them to actually do something about it. So at this moment, it's just one scenario that the political left is contemplating, but it would be foolish to dismiss the possibility of it becoming reality, especially when one considers the underhanded and authoritarian tactics Democrats have already employed to take out Trump in the courts. Not unreasonably, Republican voters fear that should the current polling averages hold a Trump victory actually happen, the Democrat Party and left-wing media would be willing to back any scheme that would allow them to retain power, notwithstanding their rhetoric about Republicans who challenge the 2020 vote. Democrats know the courts won't let them get their way on preventing Trump from being on the ballot and worry that their bogus lawfare trials against him either won't succeed in jailing him in time or will be ignored by voters who understand undemocratic behavior when they see it. If they do control Congress in January, the chances of them using that power to undo an election lost to Trump seems like the safest possible bet. So that is a long article there, folks, but you can see like some of the stuff, there's a possibility of it happening, and this isn't good. I mean, this all leads to a bad place, which is January 6th on crack, I want to say, on speed or whatever, just bad. So let me know what you think about this. Do you think the Democrats would be brazen enough to go through with this? I kind of do, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.